What's up, everybody? Well, got another snoozer of a Monday Night Football game to recap last night as the Eagles and the Packers got it on in Lambeau. If you were looking for offense, you might have been better off watching an NBA basketball game last night. Plus, another coach in the NFL has bit the dust as the New York Giants have parted ways with head coach Brian Daboll. We'll get into that. Plus, today is Top 5 Tuesday. I will give you my top 5 teams in both college football and the NFL. And some breaking news came out that I will discuss, and I will discuss in length because this involves the Dallas Mavericks and how angry those fans are. But they might have gotten their wish today. We'll get into all that and a little bit more today here in the Total Sports Ozone. Big O with the big mouth coming at you on a Veterans Day, Tuesday, November 11th. And before I get into anything, I want to say thank you to all the veterans and active duty military, retirees, and their families. I am a veteran myself, so I know the sacrifice, I know the hard work that goes into it, and I know everything y'all going through, both the good and the bad. I am proud to say I'm a veteran of the United States Army, and I have a lot of family members that are too. May not be the Army, but they've been in the military. They're either still in or they're retired. So thank you, and God bless to all the veterans and military service members and their families around the world. Thank you for your service. Now, let's get into the game last night. The Eagles and the Green Bay Packers. Yeah, it was kind of hard to stay awake on this one. I mean, there was no scoring in the first half. It was just a back and forth affair. But neither team could generate much offense at all in the first half. Didn't generate much in the second half. But the Eagles, with their staunch defense, came away with enough plays on offense and on defense to eke out a 10-7 victory in Green Bay. My question about this game is twofold. I got two questions about this. One, with the Eagles offense pretty much being up and down from week to week, do you trust the Eagles in the NFC to repeat, to go back to the Super Bowl with that offense being a little, let's just say, quirky? I mean, they got the weapons, no doubt about that. Jalen Hurts, Juan Barkley, AJ Brown, they have the weapons. Goddard at the tight end, they have the weapons to be an explosive offense. So what's wrong? What's happening with them? I mean, for the most part, last night their offense looked a little bit disjointed. It looked like they were nobody. Not Saquon Barkley, not Jalen Hurts, not the coaching staff. Nobody was on the same page for most of last night. They got on the same page when they needed to with Jalen Hurts with that big touchdown pass to AJ Brown. Yes, they got on the right path when they needed to. Jalen Hurts throwing that big touchdown pass to Devontae Smith. But for the most part, it just looked disjointed to me for most of the night. I mean, they didn't run the ball. Saquon Barkley, he only ran for 60 yards on 22 carries. But the Green Bay defense had him bottled up most of the night. Jalen Hurts, not the greatest. He didn't get sacked. He didn't turn the ball over. It just looked like his passes were either short or overthrown. He only finished with 183 yards, 1 touchdown. So, those numbers are like so-so for a team that has so many weapons with it. Those numbers are a little pedestrian. And the Eagles in the NFC, trust me, you in the NFC, your numbers at the quarterback position can't be pedestrian. They got to be like road runner numbers. Like, me. Because you got to deal with so many teams with great offenses now. The Detroit Lions, the LA Rams, the Seattle Seahawks. You got so many teams in the NFC that got great offenses. If you come in with the pedestrian offense, I don't know if that's going to get it. The Eagles defense, I don't know if it was a product. This goes into my second question. What's wrong with Jordan Love? The last couple of weeks, he hasn't thrown a touchdown pass. He hasn't. Last couple of weeks. Is it the play calling? I don't know. Is it the play calling? Is it the fact that he doesn't have that go-to weapon at wide receiver that all quarterbacks need? That one go-to weapon. This is what I believe. I believe every quarterback wants to be a top quarterback in the NFL. The Patrick Mahomes, the Josh Allen, even the Joe Burrow, the Lamar Jacksons, the Matthew Stafford, Jared Goffs. All these quarterbacks have 2 types of receivers on their team. One, they have that go-to deep threat. That one receiver that can burn a defense deep. And when I mean deep, I mean 40 yards or more. The second receiver they have is a possession receiver. One who can keep those chains going. On 3rd and 4, 3rd and 6. That possession receiver. All great teams, whether it be a slot receiver or a tight end. All the greats have those 2 things. The Green Bay Packers don't have that. They have Jordan Love. I don't know if it was because they sold the farm to get Micah Parsons, which is why they didn't do absolutely a thing at the trade deadline to help Jordan Love. They could have got Shaheed, right? Shaheed. They could have got him. They didn't. I guess they were under the impression that when they made that trade to get Micah Parsons, that they were so sold, the management and front office of the Green Bay Packers, they were sold on Jordan Love being the man and he having enough weapons around him to take the Packers to the next level in the playoffs. I'm not sure if that's the case right now. I'm not sure. It's straight up. When you only score a total of 17 points in 2 weeks at home, and your quarterback does not score a touchdown, hasn't thrown a touchdown in 2 weeks, and you are at home? I don't know. Is it the Jordan Love? I think he can be a great quarterback. He has that potential to be one of the greats. Obviously, Green Bay must believe in that. They signed him to, what, $40-50 million a year contract for 4 years? It's obvious that the Green Bay Packers believed in him enough to keep him around. But is it enough? Like I said, I've said this before. When you have a quarterback, that's when you pay it like it's a house. Your football team is like a house. And the quarterback, that's your mortgage. You got to pay the mortgage. The front, the offensive line, that's the insurance. Make sure your house stays upright. But then you got to put furnishings. Make the house look good. You got to put furnishing. Nice living room, nice little couch, sofa in the living room with the big screen TV and home theater. Make sure the walls are painted just nice. Have new plush carpeting. That's why obviously you're just running backs in your tiny end. And if you got an ugly living room, the other team's gonna know it. They didn't what Green Bay did, they went for the front yard, which is the defense. That's the front yard. Front line, and then the backyard is the secondary. They took care of the front yard. Got Michael Parsons. But what about the interior of the house? Right now, the interior house looks a little bit shaky. That's just what I'm saying. That's what I'm seeing. For the last 2 weeks, it's looked shaky. Green Bay has dropped the last 2 games at home. And right now, they're in a big-time dogfight in the NFC North. The Chicago, Detroit, they're all about a half a game ahead of Green Bay Packers. And Green Bay still got to play Detroit. And I believe they got to play both those teams in front of them at least one more time. With the offense sputtering the way it has, it doesn't look good. It just does not look good for the Green Bay Packers right now. I believe at the trade deadline, they should have got Jordan Love a wide receiver. Again, every great quarterback has two possession type receivers. One that can go deep and one that can keep the chains moving. Either be a slot receiver or a tight end. Green Bay, they got good wide receivers, but they don't have elite ones. And that might make the difference. Detroit has an elite group of wide receivers and running backs. Seattle, elite. LA Rams, elite. Even the Eagles, elite. They have elite groups at those positions. Green Bay has good. All right. And that ain't going to get it in the NFC. Not this year. If they want to make that run to the Super Bowl, they got to get those 2 things. Either develop them or something. A deep threat and a possession receiver. That's what Jordan Love needs. That's what every great quarterback needs. Right now, they don't have that. Can it be fixed before playoff time? Only time will tell. But as it stands, Eagles pulled out the win last night, 10-7. If you love defense, you love that game. If you don't, you watch the basketball game. More points. So, Eagles are right now heading the NFC East at 7-2, and they're the only team in the NFC East above 500. Packers fall to 5-3-1. They are in 3rd place in the NFC North, 1/2 game behind both the Chicago Bears and the Detroit Lions. So that's where we stand. And as we complete Week 10 in the National Football League. Big O with the big mouth here, the Total Sports on Zone. Now, yesterday, I'm pretty sure most of y'all have heard, like I have heard, that the New York Giants have parted ways with their head coach, Brian Daboll. Now, my thing is, I kind of figured if the Giants didn't turn this around this year, he would be gone. I thought it would be to the end of the year because with Jackson Dart and before he got injured, Cam Scalaboo, those 2 guys breathed a little life into the New York Giants. They were competitive. They were battling. Won a couple games. Beat the Philadelphia Eagles, the defending world champions. Beat them pretty bad on a Thursday night. So I figured that they could hang on. They could build this up and maybe do some and then make some noise next year. But I guess the Giants front office had different plans because they let Brian Daboll go. And then you wonder why did they let him go roughly just past halfway through the season. Why? It's play calling. He's calling plays that's getting his quarterback, who could be the future of this franchise, in Jackson Dart. You're calling plays to get him hurt. That could possibly get him hurt permanently or for a long time. And he's a rookie. He's just starting. You're calling quarterback runs when he's already had a concussion? Not the smartest thing to do when you know you have a franchise quarterback, or you have the potential of a franchise quarterback right there. And you call plays that could get him knocked out of games for a while as a rookie. It's not the smartest thing to do. I think the front office saw this, didn't like it, and they fired him. But bad enough he wasn't winning before Jackson Dart came along. And now, what you trying to do? You're trying to kill who could be our franchise quarterback? You're trying to kill him before it's time? You got to go. You got to go. I think that's what the Giants did, firing the head coach. Of course, I know there are a lot of Giants fans probably saying, why ain't the general manager gone? He the one hired this guy. That's a very good question. Why hasn't the general manager been given the boot? Don't know. Joe Schoen. It's not like he's been hitting on all cylinders since he's been a general manager. I mean, he did draft Daniel Jones in the first round. That didn't work out. As Saquon Barkley, unfortunately, that didn't work out. So it's not like Joe Schoen, the general manager, has been hitting on all cylinders. Why wasn't he shown his walking papers along with Brian Daboll? I wonder why. We'll never know. Well, maybe we'll know one day. But we're not going to know today. But personally, I think both, when your head coach gets fired, your general manager, it's like the flip of what's happening in Miami. They fired Miami a couple of weeks ago. They fired the general manager, but the coach is going to stay on to the end of the year. I don't think so. You both came in together. General manager, you hired the head coach. If the general manager goes, that coach should go too. Same here. Fire the head coach, general manager, you hired him. You walking right out the door with him. That's how it should be. And the reason why I believe Brian Daboll got fired is because it looks like he's trying to run the future of the franchise into the ground before he become the future of the franchise. And the owner of the team is not having that. I was like, you're not going to run Jackson Dart into the ground, and so he can possibly get hurt and his career shortened, and he's a rookie. You're not going to do that. Not on my watch. I think the owner said that. I believe the general manager told the owners to get rid of him. Maybe that's why the general manager is still around. As it is, who's going to replace Brian Daboll? Not this year. We know it's going to be an interim tag. But who could replace Brian Daboll as the head coach of the New York Giants? There have been a couple of names thrown out there that I've seen. I've seen on First Take this morning, I seen the name thrown out there, Brian Flores. From right now, he's assistant with the with the Minnesota Vikings. I know there's been a little flack about a lawsuit or whatever. Maybe they let that go, and maybe they hire Brian Flores. He can coach. He definitely can coach. He got the goods. He's no slouch. He got the goods. I think he can be an excellent coach for the New York Giants. Another person I heard out there, another rumor. If the Browns let him go, Kevin Stefanski could be the new head coach of the New York Giants. If the Browns let him go. And all indications are Kevin Stefanski is a dead man walking in Cleveland. He is a dead man walking. Fans want him fired. The local media want him fired, saying he got to go. He's a walking dead man in Cleveland. Kevin Stefanski. I mean, it will take the miracle of all miracles for him to be the head coach of the Cleveland Browns in 2026. He might finish this year. Because let's face it, Browns ain't going nowhere. So if he hadn't been fired by now, he ain't gonna. They'll let him ride out the season. But he's a walking dead man. But his name has come up by certain people from ESPN, who I will not name. But his name has come up as a possible candidate to replace Brian Daboll in New York. I'm scratching my head on that one. I mean, he ain't done well with quarterbacks in Cleveland. What makes you think he's going to do well with this one? I'm just saying. He's supposed to be the quarterback whisperer. He ain't done well with quarterbacks in Cleveland. There's only one quarterback he had any half-ass success with, and that was Joe Flacco when he pulled him off the couch, and Baker Mayfield when he left Baker Mayfield alone. Those two are now gone. These other quarterbacks he's had, Deshaun Watson, Jacoby Brissett. Now we have what the other guys, DTR. Now we got Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders, who's basically just wasting away on the bench. He hadn't had no success with none of them. None of the others. So I don't know about Kevin Stefanski being the new head coach of the Giants. I can see him being a quarterback coach, even offensive coordinator. But as head coach, after you didn't do much of anything in the last couple of years in Cleveland, it's a weird. The rumors out there, but I wouldn't buy it. That would be a hard pass for me. I want somebody who can prove that they can win, prove that they know how to coach both offense and defense. That's what I would want as if I'm the general manager owner of the Giants. I want somebody proven. I don't want no assistants. I want somebody proven. Somebody who I know has had a little bit of success at this level. That's what I want, especially when I got a rookie quarterback who is the new face of my franchise. I don't want no assistants. I don't want no unproven assistants. I want somebody who has some experience as head coach at this level that could work with my rookie quarterback, teaching, developing. Jackson Dart got the potential to be one of the best. But he needs somebody to guide him, mentoring, develop him. And Kevin Stefanski, maybe Brian Flores, maybe. But Kevin Stefanski, not from what I've seen what his results in Cleveland. It wouldn't work. But Giants are looking for a new head man. Well, he's the latest. He won't be the last. Let's put it like that. He's the latest in the head coaches that have gotten the boot. He definitely won't be the last. I guarantee that. Big O with the big mouth, Total Sports Ozone. Now, let's get into Top 5 Tuesday, where I put who I think top 5 teams in both college football and in the NFL. So, without further ado, here is my top 5 teams in college football for the week ending week 10 or week 11. I got a typo there. It's week 11. Number 5, I got the Georgia Bulldogs. Oh yeah, well, you can't argue with the numbers. They've ever since they've lost to Alabama, like I said, Georgia this year has been like hanging around. I know they've had a lot of close wins. They've hung around and they've hung around and they've hung around and they've hung around. Next thing you know, they done won the game. But that's been Georgia's MO this year. That's what they've been doing. It's worked. They beat Tennessee by hanging around. They beat Florida, their main rival, by hanging around. It's just what they've been doing. They've won a couple other teams, just a couple other games, SEC games, just by hanging around. They start off slow, make it lure you into a false sense of security, thinking, "Oh, we might get them." Did it to Ole Miss. Ole Miss for 3 quarters was handling business in Sanford, in between the hedges, in Sanford Stadium against the Bulldogs, and then bow. You let them hang around. They hung around. Next thing you know, you look up the scoreboard, they didn't winning the game. Now you ain't got no time left to do anything. They done won the game. I think it's what they do. Call them the cardiac dogs this year. But that's the way they've been winning. Hey, what can you say? It's working. 8-1. It's working. Now, they got a big test this week. This week when they taking on the Texas Longhorns. Will they do that? Hang around. Will that work this time? We'll see. But I got Georgia as my top in my number 5. Number 4, I'm gonna stay with Alabama. They haven't lost. Let's say they haven't lost since they took that L against Florida State in week 1. They look strong. You can't deny the stats, the facts. They looked really strong. And beating 4 ranked SEC teams in a row before a bye week. That's saying something. I'm saying more than something. That's saying, we even forgot about that first game. That first game was an anomaly. And that's a good thing for Alabama. That they put that first game behind them. And they just took it off since then. Kyle Simpson and this guy Williams, they have balled their asses off since that loss. And the proof was in the pudding. But I can't put them up at 3 because they got a loss. They have a loss. I know the Alabama fans, hey, wait, beating all these SEC teams. They won 4 against in a row against ranked teams, and they should be higher. They should be number 1. No, you're not. Not in my top 5. You're not. You're not gonna be number 1 when you got the number 1 in the L column, and the 3 teams in front of you don't. Simple as that. That's the only reason why you're not ranked higher than 3rd. Because you have that one loss. And it was a bad loss. I'm sorry. It was. To a bad Florida State team. So that loss is that one loss brings you down a bit. I'm sorry. Maybe you can make up for it when you get to the SEC championship. If you get there. But right now, I can't put Alabama any higher than 4th. Not in my top 5. Not unless 1 or 2 or all of the 3 teams in front of you take a loss. And so far, they have not. So, in my top 5, Alabama's 4th. Now, number 3, I had a little bit of thought process going into this. I really didn't want. I didn't know what to do with this between 3 and 2, because looking at the games, looking at the games I looked at this weekend, if you want to know, it's going to be between A&M and Indiana. Indiana needed a miracle comeback on that last drive to just get out of Happy Valley with the win against let's just say this, against a mediocre Penn State team, and yet Texas A&M rolled. They just kept rolling. They just kept doing what they do. So I had to drop Indiana down one, and my number 3 team is Indiana. I had to drop them down one. Only reason because they barely escaped Penn State. I mean, it took a miracle. It was a tremendous finish, but it was a miracle finish just for them to get out of Penn State with that win and keep their undefeated season alive. Now, the way everybody been puffing Indiana up, you would think Indiana would have went to Happy Valley and blew their asses out. But that wasn't the case. It was looking like the case until Penn State said, "We done had enough of this shit." And now don't get me wrong, Penn State has talent. They don't know what to do with that talent, which is why James Franklin got fired. Even they had lost 5 straight games in conference play. So you would think Indiana will walk all over the way they've been blowing out teams in conference. You would think Indiana will walk all over Penn State. That wasn't the case. Again, y'all saw the finish. Took a miracle finish just to get out of there with the dub. For that reason and that reason alone, I had to drop Indiana down one in my top 5 from 2 to 3 and replace them with Texas A&M, which is bumped up to number 2. They've been rolling. No doubt about that. It's like they've been on cruise control. The only reason why I haven't put them number 1 is because their defense is shaky. Yes, and a lot of people are gonna say, especially Aggie fans, SEC fans, gonna say Texas A&M deserve to be number 1. They don't have the defense that Ohio State has. They just don't have the defense that the number 1 team in the country has, which is why I cannot put them at number 1. A&M's defense has improved a little bit, but when you give up 40-something points to Notre Dame and you give up 40-something to Mississippi State, that means your defense is prone to get scored on. Ohio State's defense averages only 7 points allowed a game. That means if you score a touchdown against the Ohio State defense this year, keep the ball, frame it, put it in glass casing, and shine some spotlights on it. Mark on it, write down on the football the date, the time, the opponent, and who scored. Because it doesn't happen too often. It has not happened too often. Ohio State has given up. I believe they've only given up 7 touchdowns all year. 7 touchdowns in 9 games. All year. 7 touchdowns allowed. No other team. Not name a team in the top 5. In my top 5 can say that. Not name one of them. Not even A&M. Some of these teams are giving up 2, 3, maybe 4 touchdowns in 1 game. Ohio State is only giving up 7. 7 touchdowns total the entire season. And we're in week 11. Ohio State has 3 games left. Indiana has 2. Ohio State's giving up only 7 points a game. That's why I put Ohio State number 1 over A&M and Indiana. They have the better defense. Maybe Indiana has a better offensive efficiency. A&M may have better offensive efficiency. But neither one of those defenses are better than Ohio State. And Ohio State does have not one, but two Heisman Trophy candidates on their team. A&M can't say that. Mendoza, Indiana only has one. Ohio State has two. Quarterback Julian Sand and wide receiver Jeremiah Smith. They have two potential Heisman candidates on their team. So if they want to score, they can. That's the thing with Ohio State. When they want to score, throw it to Jeremiah Smith. Throw it to number 4. But on defense, ain't nobody scoring. At least not the way you want. Only giving up 7 points a game? The stats don't lie. These stats don't lie. And that's why I got my top 5 the way it is. Number 5, Georgia Bulldogs. Number 4, Alabama. Number 3, Indiana. Number 2, Texas A&M. And number 1 is Ohio State. You may not agree with it, but that's my top 5. If you don't agree with it, please let me know why. I would love to know why. So leave me a comment. Please like and subscribe. That is my top 5 in college football as of week 11. Had a typo there. Big O with the big mouth in the Total Sports Ozone. Now, let me bring up something good and off topic. Let me bring up something that I just heard about. And this is going to affect the Mavericks fans. Yeah. This is going to affect all the Mavericks fans. I just heard that the Dallas Mavericks have fired their general manager, Nico Harrison. Just fired him. Must have done that while I was either right before I came on the air or as we've been speaking. But according to Sham Charania of ESPN, the Dallas Mavericks general manager, Nico Harrison, has been fired. The decision was made after a Tuesday morning meeting between Harrison and team governor Patrick Dumont, according to sources told to ESPN. Assistant general managers Michael Finley and Matt Riccardi have been promoted to lead the Mavs basketball operations department on an interim basis. And now, I'm sure all the Maverick fans out there are rejoicing right now. They're rejoicing. I don't know. I ain't going to say they dancing in the streets, like they just won the NBA Finals. They're rejoicing. They're rejoicing. And we all know why. Let's face it, Nico Harrison did the probably most bone-headed trade. Not just Mavericks history, but probably all of NBA history. When you trade your superstar, your franchise player, a fan favorite, Luka Doncic. I mean, this guy's box office. Top 5 NBA every year he's been in the league. MVP candidate every year he's been in the league. All pro, all NBA first team. What? 4 times? And he ain't even but 26 years old. And you trade him? And you trade him to the Lakers for a broke down center who can't. Let's face it, Anthony Davis, when he's on the court, he's good. But the thing is, he ain't on the court all the time. I mean, if you sneeze on this brother and don't say, God bless you, He out 4 to 6 weeks. He out right now. That's missed the last 6 games because of a calf injury. Hell, last year, his first game with the Mavericks, he got hurt. Why would you trade for a brittle ass man like that? And you trade your franchise player, the guy everybody come to see, the guy who put butts in seats and won games. I call him the new age Larry Bird. That's what I call Luka Doncic. The new age version of Larry Bird. Because he can get you points, he can get you rebounds, and he can get you assists. He's a triple-double man. New age Larry Bird. Why would you trade him? Why? You worried about if you can re-sign him to a contract? You should have been extending him. There shouldn't have been no thought. If you were concerned, now there were rumors that the front office was concerned about his weight, his conditioning. Okay. You still sign him? Because even out of shape, he was balling. You sign him. You extend him. And you hook him up with a nutritionist. You know, I'm pretty sure Luka Doncic would have did whatever he needed to get in shape. Because he knew he was breaking down a little bit. Just get him, hook him up with a nutritionist, a trainer, whatever it takes to make him slim down a little bit. Get him in the gym, in the weight room, whatever. That's what you do. You protect your investment. You don't give it away for a bag of stale chips and 2 warm sodas. That's exactly what Nico Harrison did. Around the trade right before the trade deadline last season, you traded your franchise player for nothing but a bag of stale chips that can't stay healthy. And the fans were livid. They still livid. They still livid. And now with the Mavericks being one of the worst teams in the league, as of after yesterday's loss, they're 2-7, 2-8. The axe had to fall, and it fell on Nico Harris's head. And I'm sorry, even drafting Cooper Flagg with the number 1 pick in the NBA draft wasn't gonna save his ass. I knew that. It wasn't gonna save him. Cooper Flagg would have had to been the next coming of Luka Doncic, and he just ain't. Not right now. Not right now. And I knew the axe was going to fall. It's just a matter of when. And it fell. Fell on his head this morning. Nico Harrison is out as GM of the Dallas Mavericks. And I, for one, say, sorry. Next time, if you ever, Nico Harrison, if you're listening to me, if you're watching me or whatever, or if you hear this from anywhere else, the next time you're running a basketball team, if you're ever running a basketball team again, next time you got a franchise player, you keep him. You don't trade him away for bullshit. You keep him. I don't give a damn what anybody else say. You got a franchise player on your team, you do whatever it takes to make sure he stay with the team. I hope you learned your lesson. Big O with the big mouth and the Total Sports holds on. I'm sorry. I just can't stand when gentlemen do some stupid shit like that. You trade away your best player, franchise, all-pro, MVP candidate for a bag of stale chips and 2 warm sodas. Doesn't make no sense. Made no sense to me. None whatsoever. Absolutely no sense. But he paid for it with his job. That's what happened. He paid for it with his job. And it was bound, like I said, it was bound to happen. It was bound to happen. It was just a matter of when. It was just a matter of when. Now, let's get into my NFL top 5 teams as of week 10. Now, this is the week 10 for the NFL. All right. So let's get into it. Let's get into it. All right. Top 5 teams in the NFL as of week 10. I got number 5 being the New England Patriots. They coming, y'all. Drake May, Mike Vrabel. Now they got a running game and my man Henderson from Ohio State. Stephon Diggs. Oh, they coming. Got the top 10 in offensive efficiency and top 10 in defense. They coming, y'all. The record don't lie. They coming. Could they replace the Buffalo Bills as the top threat, or the Kansas City Chiefs as the top threat to go to the Super Bowl in the AFC? It sure looks like it. But a couple other teams they got to worry about in the AFC before we can crown them. One of them is on the top 5. We'll get to them in a minute. But the New England Patriots is coming. They're coming like a freight train. I think they've put the Belichick Brady years back behind them. They were great years, no doubt. But it was time to move on. And I think they've done that. I think them hiring Mike Vrabel as their head coach was a genius. There's a certain team of mine out there would have wished they had the fortitude to hire Mike Vrabel. We ain't going to get into all that right now. But Mike Vrabel was a genius hire. Genius. He's got the Patriots balling. I mean, they're balling. It doesn't matter who the competition is. They play their game. They just went down there and picked off the Tampa Bay Bucks with Drake May. They're balling on both sides of the ball. So I had to put them in my top 5 this week. Number 4, I got the Detroit Lions as my number 4 team. What you gonna do with this offense? What can you do with this? I've been saying it week to week to week. I don't know if anybody been listening, but I've been saying the Detroit Lions has that offense to where I'm pretty sure they can go up to the other team's defense or other team period and say, how do you want to lose today? Do you want us to run the ball down your throat with Jameer Gibbs and that? Or Montgomery? Or do you want us to airmail it all over the place, Tony? Well, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Laporta and the guys and Jared Goff. How do you want to lose? Last week against Washington, last one, they ran the ball. Why not? It worked. It worked. Detroit Lions. Now their defense tend to be a little wishy-washy, but I think that's because of injuries. But if their defense gets on their defense doesn't have to be world beaters. They don't have to be the number 1 defense in the league. It just got to be average. Now, if their defense steps it up to average, it's going to be a hard team to beat in the playoffs with that offense. That offense be humming. When that offense is humming, nobody can stop it. You can't stop it. I can't stop it. Not the best. I don't even think the best defense in the league can stop it when that offense is humming. That's how good the Detroit Lions are on offense. I mean, they can score literally at will. That's why I have them in my top 5. I've had them in my top 5 consistently for the past 3 weeks. And they're going to stay in there as long as they keep winning and keep putting up points like they're doing. Detroit, number 4. Now, number 3 team this week, I got the Indianapolis Colts. I think they bounced back pretty nicely from that little shell-shocking loss to Pittsburgh. They bounced back really nice. They're going to be all right. Indianapolis Colts. Excuse me. Jonathan Taylor. What can you say? If that man does not get AFC Offensive Player of the Year, what did he do wrong? Because against Atlanta, he did no wrong. What did he have? 240 something yards rushing, 244 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns. A nice 83-yard run that left all the Falcons defense wondering, where the hell is he? He literally won that game in overtime for the Colts over there in Berlin last Sunday. And with Daniel Jones, again, like I said, Daniel Jones, he doesn't have to win the game. He just don't have to lose it. With the weapons he has, all he has to do is not lose a game. To wit, don't turn the ball over. Don't make stupid throws. Don't take dumb stacks and hang on to the ball. He doesn't have to win it. He just don't have to lose it. And the Colts are going to be right where they at. Right where they at. One of the best teams in the league. I know their record is 8-2. They're going to be right there. They're 8-2. But I got them as my number 3 team in my top 5 after week 10. So, who's the top 2? The number 2 team, we got the Seattle Seahawks. Whew. One of 2 teams in the NFL who has yet to lose on the road. I believe the other team is New England. One of the 2 teams in all the NFL that has yet to lose a road game. You gotta. And the way they dismantled the Cardinals, the Dallas Cowboys couldn't do, you have got to put the Seahawks. Everybody has to put the Seahawks in their top 5. If you're delusional. You haven't seen them play. This team has top 5, probably has a top 5 offense and defense. I have to look up the stats, but I know they're going to definitely be top 10 in both offense and defense. They don't let you score too much, and they light your ass up. Sam Darnold, Jackson Smith, and they just got Rashid Shaheed. He hasn't played for them yet. And now they're going to put him on the other side of Jackson Smith and Jigba, who, by the way, should be in the running and the leading candidate for NFC Offensive Player of the Year. The man might get 2,000 yards receiving. And if you don't have the Seattle Seahawks in your top 5, Power 5 rankings this week, either you're delusional, you're sipping the wrong flavor of Kool-Aid, or you just haven't seen this team play. This team is the real deal. And considering this is in the NFC West, where 3 of the 4 teams are over 500, the Seahawks is coming. They ain't here yet, but they're coming. And the reason why they ain't here yet is because of my number 1 team in my Power 5 this week, the Los Angeles Rams. They can do no wrong. Matthew Stafford, Chua, the running game, this team can do no wrong. Went into San Fran and made them look silly. Now, I know San Francisco's got a lot of, so what? So, the name of the game. The Rams went into San Fran and made them look silly. But see, to me, seems like the Rams play better on the road than they do at home. I don't know why. Maybe it's because SoFi Stadium, every time a Rams game is played in there, half the dang crowd is for the Rams, the other half is for the other team. So I think they play better on the road. Remember, they played San Fran already at home, and they lost in overtime, I believe, or late. But they blew them out in their house. So what gives? I don't know. But I like what way I see. Matthew Stafford, Well, as old as he is, just humming along. Open here, open there. He don't play favorites. You open, you getting the ball. You open down the right side, you open the ball, you getting the ball. You open over the seam in the zone, you getting the ball. He don't play favorites. That's what I like about Matthew Stafford. He doesn't zero in on just one. He got one good one, Puka Pachua, whatever his last name is. He got a great one right there. Like he don't just zero in on him. He spreads the love. That's why I like the Rams. I like the Rams. I like the way they play. I like the way they play on offense. Everybody gets to eat. That's why I got them as my number one team. Their offense is just I call it the lot of love offense. Everybody getting love. Everybody. You get a little love, you gonna get a little love. You open over down there, you gonna get some love. Everybody gets love on this offense. And it just keeps humming along. Just keeps humming along. So that's my top 5 after week 10 of the NFL season. Got number 5, the New England Patriots. Number 4 will be the Detroit Lions. My number 3 team this week is the Indianapolis Colts. My number 2 team is the Seattle Seahawks. And my number 1 team is the Los Angeles Rams. What do you think? Did I do good in my top 5? Is it looking all right? Now, like what they say on First Take and Stephen A., this list is fluid. It can change. It will change. I have no doubt that I could have another top 5, or 1 or 2 teams that weren't in my top 5 before. They might be in there next week. Who knows? Or I might just have to shuffle around this top 5. There's a couple of teams that deserve to be in the top 5. I just didn't have them in there this week. The Denver Broncos, the Chargers, a couple of teams. Yeah, couple of teams. Even the Chicago Bears. Yeah, there are a couple other teams that could have been in my top 5, but for certain reasons, I had to leave them out. Because in my eyes, in my opinion, these top 5 teams are playing better than everybody else as of right now. Now, that could always change. But what do you think? Leave me a comment. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. If you like what I'm saying, like what I'm doing, please like and subscribe. If you think of ways where I can improve my live stream, drop me a line. Let me know. Like I said before, I'll say it again. I'm just a fan, and I'm doing this for the fans. I'm not a reporter. I'm not an analyst. I'm not a critic. I'm just a fan calling it like I see it with these 4 eyes. Just like you do. I'm just saying it because I got a big mouth. So, again, happy Veterans Day to all the veterans, active duty and retired military that are serving our country. I'm one of you, so I know what you're going through, and I appreciate your service. Always. So, we'll get into this tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to go over the college football playoff rankings a little bit, see who's high, who's low, who should be where, and who shouldn't. Rankings come out tonight. We'll talk about it tomorrow, right here in the Total Sports Ozone. Have a great Veterans Day, everybody.